Ozymandias by, is it Shelley?
Yeah.
Okay, so start.
I met a traveller from an antique land who said, two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed, and on the pedestal these words appear, my name is Ozymandias, King of Kings, look on my works, ye mighty and despair, nothing beside remains, round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away.
Right, so that's a great poem, isn't it? It's a very, very funny poem. Why is it funny? Do you know? I love this poem. I quote this all the time. The reason I really love it, if we look at it, if I get my own version of it, hang on.
Was about the person that he sees. And
yeah, Ozymandias. Read out the last bit.
From last 5 lines.
Yeah.
My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains, round the decay of the colossal wreck, boundless and bare. The lone and level sands stretch far away. Yeah,
so basically, it's really, really funny. Basically, it's in the middle of the desert somewhere, okay? Say, I don't know if it's in Persia or Arabia or Afghanistan. We don't know where it is. But basically, there was this ruler called Ozymandias, and he said, I'm really, really successful ruler. I want you to build me this enormous statue because I'm so important. And so he built this enormous statue, and years later, this guy was coming back from an antique land, which is maybe Persia or Afghanistan or somewhere like that, or even Bulgaria. They've got a whole abandoned Thracian town that is literally in the middle of a field, and you're just walking through this field, and all of a sudden you have this whole abandoned Thracian city, like a Roman city in the middle. So basically, there's this sort of statue, and he's just laying there, and he's got the legs are still there, and he stands in the desert, and then there's the faces over there, and it's all crumbling, right?
Yeah.
And he's saying, this Ozymandias thought he was the biggest noise ever. And he says, you know, there's a sign on it. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, you mighty and despair. So obviously there's all sorts of other stuff around there as well. But and he'd probably gone and killed people, and maybe he ruled the whole of Arabia or something. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Byzantium or something. But he ruled this whole area. Now there's nothing left except a crumbling statue. And it's really funny because all that left is this pompous, arrogant words. It's almost like a spiritual poem because we don't own anything in life. There's nothing where we can't take anything with us. If we have a big posh house or a big posh car, we can't take anything with us. Or even if we're the ruler of the world, we can't take anything with us. None of it can we take with us. The only thing you could possibly, it says that you should do, the religious people, you should actually send out a naam, a positive vibration of love. That will work to leave a good legacy. But, any statue or books or something, it'll all go. No one takes any notice of it. That's not really what we are. And so this poem is saying that, really. But it's funny because this is this pompous, arrogant ruler who thought he was king of kings. And he's saying, look at my work and be scared. And the guy says, nothing there. And he had a wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command. Yeah, and so he was horrible, actually, it appears, wasn't he? So if we do our 10 points, what can we say about that?
Message.
Yeah, the message is that time is
key.
Yeah. The shattered, ruined statue in the desert waits on its arrogant, passionate face, a monomaniacal. He's a maniac. Look on my works, you might. He's a dictator, basically.
Yeah.
He's been disproved, and so I think basically he's saying that he's. It's a metaphor. Ozymandias is first and foremost a metaphor, the ephemeral nature of political power. So it's basically, how political power just comes and goes. But I think it could also be a metaphor for the nature of life, couldn't it? Not just, it is political power. Here's this guy who thought he's really great and now he's completely nothing. That's absolutely right. But it's also about whatever you do, you have really no power. You just have to make the most of the present moment and then move on, because that's it. And probably it's a waste of time to build big statues, because they only end up like that to be laughed at. But he was a nasty, destructive power in history, and it's just now merely a metaphor, a monument. So Ozymandias symbolises not only political power, but the statue can be a metaphor for the pride of all of humanity in any of its manifestations. Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of almost like a religious poem. It says that, basically all you can leave behind you is a sort of a sound wave, a current. The Sikhs call it a naam, actually, I think. But the rest of it, you can't really do anything. You can't. So probably not even worth doing it, having a go at it. It might be best to try and cultivate it, living in the present moment, and being kind. And he wasn't. He was horrible. He's a dictator. So we can still say the same thing probably about Putin today, and that Korean man, and Trump. Trump's, yeah. In fact, it's significant that all that remains is a statue. So that's art. All that remains is art. So actually, Shelley is a poet, and he's celebrating art in one way, because the only bit that remains is the writing, which is what he writes, poetry. So he's kind of celebrating his own art as well. And in a way, yeah, Blake himself, I talked about earlier, all those things have gone that we've talked about, but yet Blake's poetry is still being read. And will carry on being read because it's got a powerful meaning for us. So if we look at the tone is ironic of this one, right? Can you write down ironic? So we've got 5 minutes. The tone is ironic. The imagery, it's an enormous extended metaphor, really. It is a brilliant poem, this, by the way. It's also a sonnet, right? So it's a very carefully crafted... What is a sonnet? Do you know what a sonnet is?
Type of poem.
Yeah, it's a type of poem. It's a certain number of lines. How many lines has it got?
15 lines.
It's 14-line poem, metered in iambic pentameter, which is although, yeah, it does change slightly. That's actually, it changes from, it says here, the rhyme scheme is somewhat unusual for a sonnet of this era. It does not fit a conventional pattern. Instead, it interlates the octave, the first 8 lines of the sonnet, with a sestet, a term for the last 6 lines, by gradually replacing old rhymes with new ones. So he does actually replace old rhymes with new ones. That's the rhyme scheme. Usually it's got a very regular rhyme scheme, but he's changed the rhyme scheme. Usually it's got, I think it's the same all the way through in a sonnet, but with just a couplet at the end, but he's actually changed it. Okay, doesn't really matter, that's a bit deep. We could probably tie that in to say that, he's saying everything changes. Do you see what I mean? So it's changed the conventional rules of the sonnet. So it's 14 line, it's iambic pentameter. Okay, write that down, which is 10, isn't it? Read it out to me again, the first line.
I met a traveller from an antique land who said, 2 vast and trunkless legs of stone.
So is it because I met a traveller from an antique land? Is that the first line? Yeah, so that's iambic pentameter. It is 10 beats, basically. Alright?
Alright.
And all the way it should be 10. Who said 2 vast and trunkless legs of stone? Yeah, 10. Okay, that's all it means. It goes da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. All right.
Like Light Brigade.
Yeah, probably. We didn't look at that, did we? Yeah, probably. Yeah, we can count that in a minute. Yeah, yeah, like the charge of the Light Brigade. Yeah. Well, it is regular all the way through. Maybe it is iambic. What What else? So the tone is ironic. You know what ironic is, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. The imagery is the extended metaphor, really, for man's vanity, really, and pride, really, and for the destructive power of history, isn't it?
Yeah.
Literary devices. Were any literary devices in there? Oh, the point of view is really important. Sorry, the point of view is actually says I met a traveller from an antique land.
So it's talking in first person.
Yes, but he hasn't seen that statue. Someone else is telling him. So it's even Ozymandias is even less.
Third person.
No, Ozymandias is even less powerful because people are saying, do you know what I saw in the desert? Ha ha ha! This silly old statue who thought he was immortal. But it's being reported by someone over a drink or something, which is even more demeaning and belittling, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is first person, but the narrative, the person who saw it, is someone else. So that's quite important as well, if you can grasp that idea. It's kind of, it's saying that Ozymandias is even less important, that, he's just being chatted about over dinner. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, anything else? Any questions about that? Form, structure, that language? What can you say about the language?
That it's not too complex.
There's a picture kind of like it, see here, of a great big huge statue laying there headless in the sand. That's what it is. It's very famous, this poem. You'll see it everywhere. And when you go to see ruins all around the world, you might start thinking about Ozymandias as well.
Yeah.
Ozymandias, King of Kings, look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. You can remember that as well really easily, can't you? I don't know what to say about the language. What can we say about the language? Let's have a look at it again. Cool, you need to put these 10 points down. So you've got wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command, so you've got alliteration there. And it's descriptive, isn't it? Okay. And this is really quite pompous, isn't it, the language here? My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, you mighty, and despair. Decay. And then you've got words like decay, boundless and bare, lone and level. That emphasises the fact that, it's remote and far from any settlement, really. So this is a long time ago and nothing remains of his works, basically. It's funny. So it's kind of funny. Two vast and trunkless legs of stone. So that's a symbol of, of his powerlessness, really. So if we want to talk about conflict, how does that fit in with conflict?
Because he's trying to give an impression that he's like something that he's not. Well,
immortal.
Yeah.
So he look on my works, you mighty, and despair that he can beat.
Anyone.
Yeah, that he's sort of all powerful. And in fact, the conflict, I suppose, is time. And the nature of the human condition, really. He's in conflict with the nature of the human condition, is that basically we flower and then we go away, don't we?
Yeah.
It's a great poem. Yeah. It's short, that's the good thing about it. He's also in conflict with everybody, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because he's saying, he's got a wrinkled lip and he's got a sneer. So he's in conflict with everybody as well. So he's in conflict with the people then. He still thinks that he can rule the world years to come. He puts a big statue. But he's wrong. He's in conflict with reality. The real nature of reality is the only thing is real, probably, is the kind of life force, the sort of, the essence of what produces the green bard and us and everything. But the rest of it, it comes and goes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, that's it. So you can compare, what could you compare that with? I suppose you compare it with the charge of the Light Brigade, actually. Because it's the same kind of, look how great they are, look how noble. Couldn't you? Couldn't you? Because he's saying how noble they are. And here's again a great ruler who was in charge of everybody, who ends up with nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can do that. All right then, well done.